Hi, nice to meet you all. I'm Justin Dunbar. I'm a computer science student here at Howard University. And what we are tasked with today is an opportunity where our students ask us a question, but we do not know the answer to it. At first, it can seem as frightening or scary even because as a TF or a TA, we are supposed to, know the answers, but this is actually an opportunity to really engage and learn with our student. The first thing I would do is I would ask the student, hey, what do you know already about the subject? What do you feel like the question is asking us to, input, and what do you think the desired output is? We'll go over the parameters real quick. And for me, I'm a visual learner, so I will actually share my screen and kind of like write it out. Okay, we're asked for this, right? This is what they want. They want apples, cool, but they gave us bananas. How do we turn a banana into an apple? So we'll go over the parameters on a visual screen, and from there, instead of using ChatGPT or even our TL slides that we are provided, we're gonna go on a research hunt. We're gonna research and use our curiosity. That's the best resource that we have, is our curiosity to understand the subject and question a little bit more to actually get this answer. And so from there, after doing like more research, we'll experiment. We'll plug in our answers, but we will not waste too much time. I will use my TL slides as needed. If I feel like we're straying away too much from the desired response, and from there we'll kind of work our way into it instead of just directly saying, okay, who needs an answer? I have the answer from ChatGPT or TL slides. We'll actually break it down like almost like a SAT or ACT question. Parameters. This is the desired output, and this is what we need to research to find this answer, or this is what we need to plug in to find our desired output. And from there, I'll use my TL slides or resources as needed to make sure that we don't stray away too much. But I'm more of a visual learner, so using tools like that helps me as well as help my students. And thank you. Hi, nice to meet you all again. I'm Justin Dunbar, and what we have today is a second prompt where we are joining the breakout room and nobody has their camera nor microphone on. This is common and prevalent, and there's a way to really break this down. So the first thing I will do is that I will introduce icebreakers. I will introduce icebreakers. I will break the ice, and firsthand before we even get too far deep into the weeks, I will kind of introduce different mini games or ways for my group to kind of know each other rather than just to work separately. I feel like CodePath really flourishes when you're able to really connect with the other student, and so it's a beautiful thing when we are able to understand where this person is from, their name, and X, Y, and Z. So icebreakers, as a CodePath student, that's what my TF did. She introduced icebreakers and different things, and she was persistent and consistent with that as well. And she introduced different things for us to really understand and know our neighbor. And the same way, I'll do the same thing. The second thing I would do is that I would ask individuals how is their progress rather than asking the group collectively. Before you ask a group, I feel like if you ask individuals, their status, if they need any help, how do they feel, their level of understanding, they have more of an inclination to talk to you rather than in a group you kind of you can hide behind the other person before you answer a question. And then third, I will ask the group, okay, how are we feeling, guys, or how are we feeling, people? Different things to kind of work our way into it without being overly bearing, but also being persistent and consistent to really break down that social gap and break the ice within the group. And as a CodePath student, I experienced this firsthand with my TF, and I know this works. And so this is my response to having that social disparity. Thank you. Hi, nice to meet you all. I'm Justin Dunbar. I'm a computer science student here at Howard University. And what we are tasked with today, our scenario is that a student is asking us what a proxy server is and how it can be used within cybersecurity. So I love this scenario. Before we even dive into it, I would like to ask my student, what is your understanding about proxy? When you hear the word proxy, what do you get from that? When you hear the word server or the term server, what do you get from that as well? Or proxy server together, do you what do you get from that already? Thank you. So even if the student does not know anything, that's even better. When I hear the word proxy, I think about something that redirects or substitutes, proxy in government is somebody who substitutes for something. And when I hear server, I think about something that holds something. So when I hear about proxy server, I think about a server that redirects or substitutes something, right? So getting into proxy server, A proxy server is something that takes a user IP address or whatever traffic's IP address and substitute it for its own IP address. So typically, when you access the website, you're using your direct IP address. So as a user, right? We have a user right here. We have the website. The user, this is that user's IP address. The user is taking their IP address and going straight to the website. This is dangerous. This is dangerous because your IP address is your location, it's different other specs, it has permissions, and it ties you back directly to the client and personal device. That can be very dangerous, especially in corporations when you have, this personal device that's using your Wi-Fi or, has this type of permissions and you're using your direct IP address. If it's a bad actor on the other end of that website, that bad actor now has access to all that client's information, and by using a simple IP address, something that you use to identify yourself, it can do anything. It can have ransomware or anything. So what a proxy server does, though, however, a proxy server is the middleman. So before that user connects to that website, a proxy server is like, hey, how you doing? I'm going to take your IP address and I'm going to substitute it for my own IP address. So instead of using your direct and plain IP address, I'm going to say your IP address is now pickle, right? Instead of saying apple, your IP address is now pickle, and you can now go to that website. I'm still gonna send you the information from that website, but you're just using a different IP address. This is very beneficial for many ways because instead of using your direct IP address, you can now use a substitute. And for organizations or even for personal users, you do not want your IP address out there. So what a proxy server does, it basically substitutes it and it puts a layer, a protective layer, inconspicuous or a concealing layer over your IP address before you reach any website. And that proxy server also has permission to block any unwanted content from that website to reach your client or your server or your screen. So a proxy server has permissions to substitute your IP address, block information in or out your screen. Also, it has permission to redirect your IP address. Redirect your IP address entirely. So instead of going all right, you want to go to Google, if that proxy server is set to send you to a website you cannot go instead of going on Google, right? The proxy server has permission based on whoever the owner of the proxy server is. It has permission to either place a firewall blocking you from going to Google, or it can grant you access to go to Google. It can also redirect you. Instead of going to Google, if that owner wants you to go to Yahoo, it's going to take you to Yahoo. So a proxy server is basically like that middleman, almost like a train station. Okay, cool. I'm going to take you where I want to. I'm going to put a mask over your IP address, and we're going to do this in a safer, more protected way. This is similar to a VPN as well, because a VPN does the same thing where it can redirect your IP address. It can make you look like you're in China, although you're in the United States. It just has permission like that. But a VPN is different because it has encryption properties. All proxy servers do not encrypt your IP address or your data as well as a VPN does. But proxy servers do have access to substitute, redirect, and blocking or give access to the client based on permissions, of course. And cybersecurity, we use this for a plethora of reasons because the IP address is very valuable to not only the user, but also the organization that the user is a part of. So we want to hide the IP address by any means possible. So a proxy server does that. Also for an organization, it can block or protect from unwanted content. This includes sites that's distracting, sites that have a lot of viruses or anything that we do not want the server or that client to receive. A proxy server can block that. And also just for traffic, it's a great tool to manage and control traffic. So if you receive a lot of traffic at 3 p.m., right? And at 1 a.m. you're receiving maybe two weird IP addresses. It's hey, what is this? I'm not going to give you access to the website. Actually, matter of fact, I'm going to block you off completely. So a proxy server can really change the game for an organization or a company that wants to track their data, their incoming traffic, what's going on, concealing their IP addresses, and there's a lot of benefits for cybersecurity. It's almost necessary to have a proxy server if you're a corporation, or organization, or even a user. Also, there's different types of proxy servers. It's forward, it's anonymous, and they all do different things based on their types. An onion router can peel back different things and give access and redirect access and do different things to have more encryption. A proxy server does the basic things, but based on the type, it varies on the level of encryption. And a proxy server can also be used during phone calls. A proxy server is just essential for cybersecurity. And if there are any questions, I'm open to have them, and as well as hope you understand. So now with that being said, can you tell me what a proxy server is in your own words? And that's how I would understand and respond to that scenario. Thank you.